Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Namine Ste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is another wonderful description of Vaikuntha Loka. The previous verse we saw how the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, primarily most of them, are of the same form as the Supreme Lord with 4 hands, and that how they fly in their airplanes accompanied by their wives or consorts, and they eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord, because the characteristic and activities of the Lord are always auspicious. There is nothing inauspicious about the qualities and characteristic of the Lord. Then we also saw that how when they are traveling, the main purpose of their travel is to glorify the Lord. Even when they are going in the airplane with their own wife, the purpose of that is also to glorify the Lord. And we also saw that even though there is opportunity for them to gratify their senses, naturally they are not inclined to sense gratification. Naturally their mind spontaneously is attracted to the glories of the Lord. And we saw that how when beautiful breeze blows carrying the fragrance and the honey from Madhavi flower, they feel it is a kind of a disturbance in singing the glories of the Lord. They don't want to divert their mind and smell the Madhavi flower, that beautiful fragrance. We saw this. Today's verse, Prabhupada reveals another very important thing. Prabhupada reveals about the absolute nature of the spiritual world. How? Prabhupada says, not only these inhabitants with 4 hands who are looking like the Supreme Lord are singing the glories of the Lord, even the king of the bumblebees, even they are singing the glories of the Lord. And even though some of the devotees have taken that form as a bumblebee and they are glorifying the Lord, and there are many other like cuckoos to assist in the pastime of the Lord, they make beautiful sounds to assist in the pastimes of the Lord. When the bumblebee is singing the glories of the Lord, even the other beautiful birds, in comparison, if you see, from cuckoo and peacock, all these are considered to be very beautiful and they sing very nicely. And honeybee is good, but it is not considered to be as, the voice is not considered to be as sweet as that of cuckoo or, parrot or that of peacock. But when the honeybee is singing the glories of the Lord, other birds, they stop their all different voices they are making. They stop their own sound just to hear the glories of the Lord. So that's what it says. Kola halo viramate kolahalo means their own, whatever voices they are making. Suppose cuckoo makes certain kinds of voice. It's like sometimes we also hear. There is a forest behind our temple. And sometimes if you go near to our construction area, especially in the evening time, when it is about to rain, you will find a lot of peacocks. They will be making voices. So, for the pleasure of the Lord, they make varieties of voices to assist the Lord in His different pastimes. But when when the bees are singing the glories of the Lord, then even they stop their own different sounds what they are making. That's what it says here. Kola halo viramate. Of course, we should all understand that as Prabhupada says, there is no question of sense gratification. In the material world, Prabhupada explains, even an ass enjoys his own voice. Correct? Actually, we all enjoy beautiful voices. And if somebody is not like an ass, if he is singing, we would like to chase it away. What sound are you making? Isn't it? But the material world is so much filled with sense gratification that even though ass knows that it is not singing very nicely and it is being chased whenever it makes sound, but still he likes to bray and enjoy its own voice. This is material world. Material world, we see that how the pig is living in the most abominable condition and he enjoys. He is thinking he is living in Vaikuntha. Isn't it? That is the nature of the material world. Every living entity is just trying to enjoy senses in this material world. Prabhupada even gives the example that even the most poverty-stricken person in the material world, even he has got attachment with his own things. Prabhupada gives an example that once, when he was in Calcutta, he saw that one man, he is carrying burnt stick. It is all practically burned. For all of us it will be useless, we will throw it away. But he is carrying it because he is also thinking that he is in possession of something. So this is the nature of material world, where everyone enjoys their senses. Spiritual world, Prabhupada is explaining, there is no question of sense gratification. Everybody takes up a different role, varieties of role, for the pleasure of the Lord. Somebody becomes a cuckoo, somebody becomes a peacock, somebody becomes a grass. So even though you will find that certain, just like in Vrindavan, many of the devotees, like even Uddhava, he wanted to become a grass. Why? Because he thought, in that variety, at least I will be able to get the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. I will be able to get the dust of many, many devotees like the gopis. Right? So these are all different varieties. The devotees want to take different forms in Vaikuntha, different forms of devotees, either in Shantarasa, like the grass is serving the Lord in Shantarasa, not actively singing the glories of the Lord, like, we may be singing, we may be doing kirtan like that. So certain devotees may take up different kinds of forms in Vaikuntha to serve the Lord, to give pleasure to the Lord in variety. You see? But in spite of all of these, Prabhupada is saying it is absolute. That is what we should understand. You see? Not only the inhabitants who look like human beings in the spiritual world, not only they sing the glories of the Lord, Prabhupada this verse is giving the example that even the honeybee is singing the glories of the Lord. And Prabhupada is saying this verse shows the absolute nature of the spiritual world. That there is no difference between human-like form and a honeybee or a bee. There is no such difference between them. Everything is absolute. You see, in the material world, we are all sometimes, we don't, we cater or we try to get certain position which are considered to be of good status, certain positions are not considered to be of good status. Everybody wants to be a master. Nobody likes to be a servant. This is nature of the material world. Because position of master and servant there is a lot of difference. The master exploits the servant. So nobody likes to be servant. That's why sometimes people think, they say, in India, what are you doing? You are keeping women like a slave. Why are they thinking like this? Because they are thinking slave's position is something less. Master position is something higher. Right? So what do they want to do? They want to make variety less. They want to make the whole society without any kind of classification. There should not be Brahmanas, there should not be Kshatriyas, there should not be Vaishyas. Casteless society, classless society, no classes. You see, that's what they are thinking. And we are seeing that how even the whole country like Russia, the whole idea of them, communism, is trying to have no class at all in the society. Why? Because in the material world, there is something higher, there is something lower. Even in the class, we can understand. Brahmana class is considered to be higher, Kshatriya class is considered to be little higher, and then Vaishya, then Shudra. Isn't it? So in the material world, whenever there is a class, we can understand that there is something higher, there is something lower. But in the material world, even though there is classes, if they are properly utilized, actually it is still absolute. That's what we saw in today's conversation also. Prabhupada is saying that yes, in the creation of the Lord, everything is Purna. This creation is Purna. Even though there may be something higher, there may be something lower, there are different varieties, but everything is Purna. Just like Prabhupada gives an example. We say in our hand, suppose we are doing typewriting. The hand is doing the work of typewriting. Why not from the beginning itself we train our legs to type? Isn't it? So the work of the hand is to type something. The work of the leg is to walk. So in that case, even though from external viewpoint we may think the work of hand is more better and the work of leg we may consider it to be inferior, but actually in absolute sense, both of them are working for the whole body. The hand is working, the leg is working for the purpose of body. Similarly, even in the material world, when classes are created by the Supreme Lord, Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtham, it is all not meant for something is higher, something is lower. It is according to our nature. Somebody has got a higher nature, somebody has got lower nature. The Lord is merciful, even though we have inherited by our karma lower nature. The Lord makes best use. That okay, does not matter. You may be Shudra, you may be having that nature, but does not matter. You utilize that nature in the service of the Lord. You utilize your Brahmanical nature in the service of the Lord. And when everybody is doing like that, there is no difference. That is what we should understand. When a Kshatriya is serving the Lord, Krishna is calling him greatest of the devotees. Now Arjuna is not Brahmana. Right? That is what we should understand. On social platform, on material platform, we can make a distinction. Brahmana is higher than Kshatriya. But the moment everybody serves the Lord, there is no distinction. Even though he is a Kshatriya, he is acting on the platform of Kshatriya. But the moment he serves the Lord with his ability, with his nature, it is absolute. There is no difference. You see? Even in the material world we can see. When a Brahmana is serving the Lord, Kshatriya is serving the Lord, or even a Shudra. Anyone knows the example of Shudra? In Chaitanya Charitamrita there is a great example. Ramananda Raya. The Lord himself is hearing from Ramananda Raya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hearing from Ramananda Raya. You see? We are seeing the example of Arjuna as a Kshatriya. Right? So, similarly, in devotional service, this is a very important principle we should understand. Whether one is brahmachari, whether one is sannyasi, whether one is grahastha, whether one is men, whether one is woman, whether one is doing some kind of, from external viewpoint, some lower service. Somebody may be washing the temple with brooms and somebody may be giving lectures. On absolute platform, there is no difference. It's a very important point which devotees should understand, that actually on absolute platform, there is no such difference. Because actually, all of us, what are we doing? We are all participating in the preaching mission. As much as giving lecture is required, keeping the temple clean is also very important service. Imagine if the temple, if the devotees who were sweeping the temple, if that was not being done and people are coming, they will not even sit for lecture. They will say it's all dirty, smelling like anything. So isn't cleaning the temple also helping the preaching? That is what we should understand. So everything. We are having beautiful deities here. The deities are dressed so nicely. If some devotees were not doing early in the morning, giving up, their time of their sadhana of chanting the holy name, at that time, everybody would like to chant. But if some devotees did not sacrifice the time of their chanting and did the beautiful dressing of the Lord, that is also a form of a preaching. So many people come, and when they see the beautiful form of the Lord and the devotees glorifying the Lord in the Arati ceremony, people become inclined towards devotional service. And that is also preaching. So this is a very important point which Prabhupada is saying. On material platform, there will be always higher, there will be always lower, there will be always good, there will be always bad. That will be on material platform. The same thing, the same varieties on spiritual platform, even though varieties will be there, even though somebody will be serving as a servant sweeping, and somebody will be serving with Krishna sitting on his shoulder, you see, but still there is no difference. That is called absolute. So this is the first point which Prabhupada is making, which is very important. Prabhupada is saying, this verse reveals the absolute nature of Vaikuntha. There is no difference between the birds there and the human residents. There's no difference. It's all out of their free will. The devotees take different forms to assist the Lord. You see? So there is no such difference, that if I become a bird, I will be serving less the Supreme Lord. If I become a bumblebee, or if I become a plant, or if I become a grass, my service will be less or something like that. No. It's all different varieties. Why varieties are there? The Lord creates a variety even in the material world. Prabhupada says, imagine why the Lord, even though earth is one single thing, the same source is one, but from the same earth, varieties of flowers are coming. Imagine every day if we have to offer only rose flower, it will be very boring. Imagine every day you are eating only idli. You will say, Prabhu, I will leave this temple, better I will go to some other temple. Isn't it? Variety is a mother of enjoyment. Prabhupada even gives the example. Prabhupada says, imagine if the Lord had created only one kind of fruit, coconut. Every day you take this thing and try to break it, try to remove all its shell, everything. So difficult. But that is also required. That is one variety. The Lord has given so many other varieties of fruits. Isn't it? Another example Prabhupada gives, that how varieties, when they serve the Lord, it becomes beautiful. Prabhupada says, when the devotees go and present to Prabhupada, or when they present to the Lord a beautiful flower vase, vase. Let us say they create a beautiful flower vase and they present it to the deities or to the Lord. So Prabhupada gives an example. The flower in that vase is costly. The leaves in that vase are insignificant. Correct? If you see cost-wise, what is the cost of the leaves? It is insignificant. But the moment the flowers are combined with the leaves, it becomes more beautiful. Even though it is insignificant, you see? It is looking insignificant. If you take them separately, it is insignificant. But the moment you put them in the service of the Lord, it glorifies the Lord even more. Similarly, in devotional service to the Lord, no one's service is insignificant. That is what we should understand. Devotees should be confident that whatever small service also I am doing for the Lord, it is not insignificant. When cooperatively together we serve the Lord, everybody's service becomes beautified. Everybody's service becomes glorified. This is the nature of absolute world in that sense. So, this is very important, because sometimes we find, even in the community of devotees, sometimes we start making distinctions between different kinds of services, and we try to opt for some services which no doubt sometimes on material platform may look like which is of good status. This will give me good status if I am doing some managerial service, if I am doing some kind of service which will give me some kind of name, fame, or some kind of recognition among the devotees. We think like that. Actually, we should think, what recognition do I want? Why do I want? If I become diverted to this recognition, the Lord will not recognize me. That's what we should understand. So whether I want recognition from mundane viewpoint, or I want the recognition from the Lord, that should be our idea. What do I want? Am I looking for some mundane recognition? The moment I look for mundane recognition, I am out of the sight of the Lord. No more the Lord will recognize. But if I give up that mundane recognition, even though it looks very, very nice that if I get this post, if I get this position, and then we think that I'll be able to serve better. There is nothing like that. We should understand. Best policy is whatever position we are in, we should serve the Lord best. And that is called absolute service. That is called absolute service. And then over a period of time the Lord will see. Because certain services, because they carry a lot of weightage, material weightage, it carries a lot of material weightage. The example is given in Bhagavatam that if the crown the king is wearing, if that head does not bow down before the Lord, that crown will become very heavy on his head and the person will sink. That is what we should understand. So, in Krishna consciousness, over a period of time, when a devotee has become matured, then certain responsibility which carries a lot of weightage with them, when they are given to the devotee, he will not sink down. That is what we should understand. So it is not an injustice sometimes we see that devotees may not be given some managerial position, sometimes he may not be given some leadership position. One should not think it in material terms, that my service is being blocked, I am not given this, I am not given that. Nothing is there like that. The absolute nature of the spiritual world is whatever service you have, If you do it with your heart and soul, the Lord is pleased. It is absolute. That is what one should understand. There is nothing called higher, lower. Prabhupada, that is what he is saying. There is no difference between the birds and the human resident. The situation in the spiritual sky is that everything is spiritual and variegated. That's all. Everything is spiritual. So everybody's service is significant. It is spiritual. Only thing is there is variety. So sometimes certain in the material world I am saying. In the spiritual world, there is no question of becoming a manager like that. Everybody is servant of the Lord. Here in the material world, sometime we have to take, even when we take managerial position, that is taken when you have become conscious of your position as a servant, as a servant, as a servant of the Lord. You see? So it's a servant managerialship. It is a servant leadership. It is not leadership like in the material world. That is what we should understand. So, this is a very important understanding that in the spiritual life, everything is absolute. There is not relative, there is no relativity like that. That's how we find. Generally, on the material platform, we find woman is considered to be less intelligent, right? That is what we think. But on spiritual platform, we are all reading Kunti Maharani's prayer. Right? One of the greatest devotees of the Lord, pure devotees of the Lord. So on spiritual platform, there is no difference. Arjuna is not Brahmana on spiritual platform, but he is a Kshatriya. But we are seeing that Arjuna is more dear to the Lord, and the Lord chose Arjuna, not some Brahmana. So on spiritual platform, there is no such difference for the Lord. Difference is on the material platform. So the more we remain on material platform, we will make distinction. This service is good, this service is not good. That is on material platform. On spiritual platform, we will not make distinctions. That is called spiritual platform. So this is one very important point. Another one important point which Prabhupada mentions in this purport. Prabhupada says, the special feature of Vaikuntha Loka is that there is no question of sense gratification. In the material world, even an ass enjoys his sound vibration. What is the example given here? That cuckoos and all, actually they sing very beautifully. Peacock also sings very beautifully. But they stop vibrating their own voice. Their own sound they stop. Temporarily, that is what it says here. Kolahalo viramate achira. Achira means temporarily. There is complete silence. Why? Because all of them become engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord. From Bhrangadhipe Harikatham iva gayamane. So in the spiritual world, when they hear that a bee is glorifying the Supreme Lord, they stop their beautiful voices just to hear the glories of the Lord. So Prabhupada says there is no question of sense gratification in the spiritual world. Special feature of Vaikuntha Loka is there is no question of sense gratification. In material world, even an ass enjoys his sound vibration. But in the Vaikuntha, such nice birds as peacock, the chakravaka, cuckoo prefer to hear the vibration of the glories of the Lord from the bees. So this is a very important, another important feature of the spiritual world, that actually even among the devotees we should all not think ourselves, our services, our talents, our qualifications to be something greater. We should always be in a humble position. This is how the training Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. Right from the beginning, that if we always want to be in the company of the Lord, how to be in company of the Lord? By chanting the holy name, right? In the material world, in Kali Yuga, the best method of keeping the company of the Lord 24 hours is by chanting the glories of the Lord, especially by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And how to chant that constantly? How to come to that position of chanting constantly the glories of the Lord? It is possible when we have that mentality of Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So that is a training for all of us. So what is the training? That if we want to chant constantly, if we want to keep the company of the Lord constantly, then we have to bear in our mind this kind of forbearance like a tree, and this kind of understanding our position to be as lower, or rather more lower than the blade of a grass. So when this kind of gradual understanding we have, this consciousness we have, and we are not looking for our own honor, and we are ready to give honors to everybody else, then it will be possible we will be able to chant the glories of the Lord constantly, to keep the company of the Lord constantly. And another very important thing which Prabhupada is saying is that how this, not only in the material world, even in the spiritual world, devotional principle of hearing and chanting are very prominent. You see, these cuckoos are all, they stop their own voices to hear the glories of the Lord. And what are those bees doing? They are chanting the glories of the Lord, right? So hearing and chanting is a very prominent feature even in the spiritual world. Imagine how much more important it is for all of us that in the spiritual world, the devotees are always glorifying the Lord and hearing the glories of the Lord. So this hearing and chanting is one of the most important limb of devotional service. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked this question of the 9 different types of devotional practices, what we do, what is the most important? So he says Shravanam and Kirtanam is most important. To hear and to chant the glories of the Lord is considered to be very, very important. So we'll stop with this Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.